So I haven't been able to get my formal 2 cents in on this whole Pablo Torre, Kababayan, shout out Philippines. Uy, Philippines! Um, Pablo Torre's reporting on Aspiration, Steve Balmer, Kawhi Leonard, two of the Dennis the Menaces. We recently found out this past week that there's another Dennis the Menace, and it's Dennis Wong, minority owner of the Clippers. There's a lot going on. It is the story in the NBA. It is the story, all caps. And I'm going to tell you guys why this story matters to the Lakers and how it pertains to the Lakers. Not just because, Kawhi Leonard is a free agent that we once chased, not just because the Clippers are the other team in Los Angeles. I'm going to tell you why this whole investigation, why what happens next with the Clippers matters to the Lakers, because the timing of all this is very interesting. The Lakers just got sold to Mark Walter and the Guggenheim Group for $10 billion. When this happened, I feel like this was the rest of the league's worst nightmare, because the Lakers already have and always have had a built-in advantage with their name brand, how global they are, the city that they live in, the weather that we have. It is like a beautiful 78 degrees in California, in Los Angeles right now. The Lakers already had so much built-in advantage, and I didn't even mention their story tradition, right? The Lakers already had so much of a built-in advantage without having crazy rich owners, because Jeannie Buss, while rich, in comparison to all of these other multi-billionaire owners in the NBA, could only stretch her dollar out so much. And we've seen that, obviously. This is why everybody complains about the Lakers front office and us not being able to, you know, amplify the margins, not only from a roster perspective, but from an organizational perspective. The Lakers being sold to Mark Walter and the Guggenheim Group was the league's worst nightmare. And now we have this story with Steve Ballmer, the third richest person in the world, aspiration, money laundering, and cap circumvention. Now this story has come out, and here's how it relates to the Lakers. I think this is a very pivotal moment for Adam Silver and the NBA. And I think the Lakers, having just been sold for $10 billion to an ownership group with deep pockets, only exacerbates this situation further. Because I think the NBA owners, if they're not already, I think they have been, the NBA owners are going to be out for blood. They will want Adam Silver to come down with the most forceful Thor hammer that he can on the Clippers. Whether or not Adam Silver has the balls to do that to the third richest man in the world, I'm not sure. I just know that the rest of the league is looking over at the Lakers and their new ownership group, and they were already scared about the possibilities of what could happen if the Lakers were actually rich and actually had a billionaire owner behind them who was willing to do anything and everything to make sure that they win. They were already scared before all of this, but now that they see what's been going on with Steve Ballmer to this extent, I think the other owners are going to want the other owners are going to want Adam Silver to use the Clippers and Steve Ballmer as an example. And so this is a very pivotal, like, sliding doors, like fork in the road moment with regards to what is Adam Silver going to do, because I know if I was another owner, I would want him to use the Clippers and Steve Ballmer as an example right now for teams like the Lakers before the new ownership group gets underway. Because, again, imagine what the other owners are thinking. The Lakers, with all of their default built-in advantages, name brand, city, now they have a big-time billionaire owner who has multiple businesses that he's been operating to an optimal level, aka the Dodgers. Imagine the connections he has. Imagine the under-the-table dealings that he'll be able to pull off. Look at what he's already done with the Dodgers, sparing no expense to make sure that that team is top-notch. And I think they're struggling right now. I don't really watch baseball, but I know that there is no cap in baseball, but there is a luxury tax to help curb some spending. And regardless of that luxury tax, Mark Walters has still skyrocketed that bill to the moon and it hasn't mattered. So the owners are scared at what is to come with regards to this partnership, not a partnership, with regards to the new ownership that the Lakers have. And so right now, this is their moment to tell Adam Silver, you better come down hard on this Steve Ballmer, MFer, and the Clippers, because if you don't, then I don't know what's going to happen with Mark Walters and the Lakers. And so yeah, that's how, in my opinion, this is how this all relates to the Lakers. How the Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer fiasco relates to the Lakers, because I feel like the small market owners probably want to get out ahead of this, make sure that Silver makes an example of Ballmer before the Mark Walters Lakers era truly begins. Otherwise, they are all screwed, because if he lets the Clippers slide and only gives them a slap on the wrist, then everybody kind of knows what we're dealing with here. We now know that we live in this wishy-washy landscape where every owner, if they're just smart about covering their tracks, can circumvent cap rules by coming up with very loose and ambiguous explanations, even if those tracks are uncovered, which we're seeing with Steve Ballmer. If they can still explain away all of this evidence that points to salary cap circumvention, then it's fair game for everybody else. And it's fair game for a guy like Mark Walters to do whatever he wants to do in the back channels, in the black market, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, this is where we stand. I think this is why I think, even though I know a lot of people are, dubious about whether or not Adam Silver will actually hammer the Clippers, I would not be surprised if he goes down hard on them. Pause. Because again, I think he's facing a lot of pressure from the other owners to use the Clippers and Steve Ballmer as an example now, before the Lakers and Mark Walters start to get underway. We got to get out ahead of this and show the rest of the league that you cannot do any of this, whatever aspiration and tree planting and minority owners daughters working for the money laundering company that you're laundering money to. Like, none of this can happen. None of this can happen when Mark Walter and the Guggenheim Group fully take over the Lakers. Because if we're still living in this wishy-washy landscape, then we forfeit. Luka Doncic under a billionaire owner who's willing to spend and maybe do some shady dealings in the back rooms. Like, we can't have this. And so Adam Silver, now's your time. Hammer the Clippers so that we can use them as an example for everybody else, that you cannot even come close to meddling with this type of illegal stuff. Okay, so that's where I'll leave it on why I think the whole Kawhi and Clippers fiasco sort of matters to the Lakers and where the Lakers kind of get involved with all of this. I'll just end this episode by talking about